All right, I'll do it again. Good evening, everyone. Those joining us in the gallery, those joining online, watching it live, or maybe watching it later when you have some free time. Welcome to our City of Summerside City Council meeting of April 21st, 2026, here in our historic City Council chambers in beautiful downtown Summerside. I'll begin by calling our meeting to order here at 5:31 p.m. Call for a mover and a seconder from council. So moved. Councillor McDougall, second. Councillor Trenholm. We are moving the approval of the agenda. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any changes, revisions, or opposition? Seeing and hearing none. Where's Councillor McColeman? Sorry, seeing and hearing none. We have 5, so we can proceed with the vote with the agenda. I think Councillor McColeman is just out of the room in the kitchen. And for members of the public joining us, Councillor Cameron is joining us virtually, I think from a Harry Styles concert. Okay, he is here though, right? Yep. Great. All right, we're not sure if we can hear him. We'll figure it out. He can hear us, according to Bruce. All right, we begin each one of our meetings by acknowledging that the land upon which we're gathered is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship, and we pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this time, I'll ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda here this evening. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into item 2, our adoption and approval of minutes. I will group these together as regular. I'll start with Planning Board. I would call for a mover and a seconder to move the approval of the following meeting minutes of Planning Board. Planning Board March 17, 2026, and Planning Board April 7, 2026. So move Councillor Duran, second Councillor Trenholm, all members of Planning Board. In favor of approving the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposition, changes, or revisions? I will also say aye. Seeing and hearing none, those minutes are adopted. For all of council, I will call for a motion to move and to second approval of the following meeting minutes. The Special Council Budget Speech of March 12, 2026. The Monthly Council of March 17, 2026. The Special Council Budget Vote of March 26, 2026, the Committee of the Whole, April 7, 2026, and the Special Council of April 7, 2026. So moved by Councillor Morrison, second Councillor McColeman. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any changes, revisions, or opposition? Hearing none, the minutes are carried. At this point, I'll open the floor to any members of council with respect to any accolades or recognitions they'd like to recognize in the community.
Yes, I would like to send accolades out tonight to my wife. It's our anniversary and I'm here. Enjoy your meal, dear.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll make it up to her. Seeing no other lights on, we'll move on to our public presentations. Tonight we have 2 public presentations. One from our Greater Summerside Chamber of Commerce. We have Mitch Martin, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce here today. So Mitch, I'll invite you up in one moment. I will just note that we do have a second public presentation as part of National Poetry Month. National Poetry Month was started by now former Mayor Naheed Nenshi in Winnipeg. That's where Nenshi was the mayor? Calgary, sorry. Apologies to the people of Winnipeg or Calgary, whichever your perspective is on Mr. Nenshi. Anyways, he initiated the National Poetry Month, and poems were presented across this country in city council chambers, and it is something that was started a number of years ago here, and it is a tradition we've carried on. And it is, I've mentioned before, one of my favorite presentations that we get throughout the course of the year. We have Julie Bull presenting, but she is not here yet. I think she's arriving for 6:15. So for members of council, we will take the presentation from the Chamber of Commerce, then we'll continue with the agenda, and then the time so fits, we'll do our poetry reading. So with that, I will invite you up. Mitch, nice to see you again. 3 times in 2 days. We're on a roll. Welcome.
the Chamber's most recent 2025-2026 membership survey, the results from our member, and how our membership is feeling about the Chamber, as well as potential opportunities that exist between Chamber and City. The Greater Summerside Chamber of Commerce represents a highly engaged and confident business community. Results from our January 2026 membership survey, which was delivered to the Chamber's current 265 member businesses, demonstrate an exceptional satisfactory rating of 4.56 out of 5. We are also seeing a nearly 100% renewal intent and a strong perception that the Chamber delivers a return on investment that exceeds its cost of membership. This has been a focal point for me since I took over as the Executive Director back in February 2025. The numbers were pretty well polar opposite at that point. We were seeing a negative churn. We weren't seeing memberships renewal. We were seeing invoices go stagnant. With the help of my staff and our Board of Directors, we've been able to turn that around. We've been able to increase the foundation of the Chamber in the Summerside business community, and that shows in the results from our membership survey. The membership agrees that the Chamber has continued to push stabilization of its core foundation in the business community towards a positive path. When asked directly, common responses from our members are, we see good things happening and the Chamber is active in the community. Another role that I took on directly out there is try to get out as much as I can, and I think that's one thing a lot of people agree with is I'm around. The Chamber is maintaining a focus on continuing its path of stabilization for this year and growing its advocacy role both at a municipal and provincial level, as requested by our members. That was the key point in our membership survey, is they want to see more advocation. So they want to see more interaction with myself, the Chamber, and the city, and the province. So we've been trying to make strides towards that, having that happen. In our board meeting yesterday, we had Deputy Mayor Snow and Mayor Kutcher both join us, which was fantastic. Thanks for that, guys. So why this stuff matters to the City of Summerside. Local businesses in the SME space are foundational to Summerside's economic health, downtown vibrancy, and employment bases. The survey confirms that business views the Chamber as their collective voice, but municipal government is a critical partner in shaping policies and bylaws, as well as the economic conditions that in some cases directly affect the survival and growth. As costs rise and labor shortages persist, municipal decisions on zoning, taxation, license enforcement, and economic development increasingly determine whether a small and medium-sized business can remain viable in the Summerside space. So what they're looking for here is basically the membership is relying on me to come up and have these kind of conversations to see if there's opportunities that exist between the Chamber and the city to help some of these businesses. We are seeing positive things happen. One of them being, Red Island Knits. Water Street has one of its first new businesses since I've taken over as Executive Director of the Chamber. I got to sit down and talk to them, which is great. They're very excited to be there. They're pushing. But one of the things that it took for them to open up is she also runs a accounting firm in the back room of there as well. So to get one business operating on a storefront in Water Street required two businesses bringing in dual incomes to keep that viable. So that was one of her concerns when she voiced to me, is that the cost of doing business, especially opening a business on Water Street, is growing. It's hard. It took a lot of math to make it work. But happy to see them there, and I'm willing to support them any way I can. Key findings from the business community is found in our membership survey. Strong confidence equals high engagement. Greater than 90% of the members believe that the value they receive from the Chamber is greater than their investment, and they report they're likely to renew, with the remaining respondents still positive. This stability signals that Summerside businesses are committed to staying and investing locally, but only if conditions remain favorable to do so. Advocacy, as mentioned, is a top priority. Advocacy is the single most requested action from the Chamber going into 2026. 44 to 50% of members explicitly named advocacy as the top way the Chamber could support them. Government-related barriers ranking among the top business hurdles alongside exposure, marketing, and general economic climate. So I wish we had got more information on these topics. That was kind of just a broad statement, is, government-related barriers. I wanted them to really break down on that more, but we ran out of time to do so in the membership survey. So we are going to be polling the membership again to see exactly what kind of barriers they're looking for, what kind of hurdles exist there, and ways that the Chamber can play a role and the city can play a role in helping remove those a little bit. Workforce and immigration pressures. Survey respondents expressed serious concern over changes to immigration policy that may exclude retail and service sectors from residency pathways, inability to attract or afford staff for essential level entry roles. These issues are particularly acute in Summerside's retail, hospitality, and nonprofit sectors, threaten operating hours, service quality, and long-term sustainability that could directly impact tourism in Summerside. I mean, it's no surprise that probably the entry-level workforce in Summerside is hard to come by. I have 2 kids myself in that 18, 19 age gap that are out there trying to get jobs. And it's not for lack of opportunities. There's tons of them available. Everywhere they put in a resume, they're getting lots of responses back from them. It's about when they get in there, the training's non-existent or not enough for them. They're not getting enough supports, and then they end up jumping around and moving between sectors. There's nothing really there keeping them. I'm not sure how we address that or how we combat that to get better, but there's opportunity there. I know that, one thing that was mentioned yesterday was the potential of maybe housing for the Holland College students that are here that commute. We talked about that in our meeting. I think that might be a good way to bring in some workforce into the community that could help into these sectors, because, I mean, there's just not enough people applying for these jobs is what it all boils down to. Visibility and local spending challenges. Exposure and marketing were cited as a #1 hurdle facing businesses. When I asked a couple of people in this space about this directly, a couple of our members, it was just too much noise and no budget for advertising. So again, that's an issue that the Chamber's going to help with. We've been trying to promote things with the Burger Love by promoting our members and getting their burgers out there. We're doing a couple of other marketing campaigns with some of our members in the upcoming weeks. So we're trying to get the exposure out there for their marketing a little bit, help them out in that aspect. Members noted a perception that some residents are hesitant to try something new locally. This could highlight a need for a stronger community-level economic development platform, placemaking, or local buy campaigns. Stuff like the Beef and Brews campaign, I think that is fantastic. I love that event that happens every year. If there was more of that stuff going on, I think that we could probably get some of our local businesses involved. Inclusion in retail service business. 37.5% of members specifically requested evening and weekend events. This is chamber specific, sorry. Reflecting the reality that many business owners cannot leave their storefronts during store business hours. That's something we're working on. We're trying to push for more events for the chamber that happen in the evening. Non-alcoholic events like coffee chats, things like that, where we can bring in municipal leaders or business leaders in the community. So that's just something we're working on internally. Advocacy priorities for the City of Summerside. Based on the survey results, the Greater Summerside Chamber of Commerce respectively advances the following advocacy priorities for municipal consideration. Be a vocal municipal advocate. Members are asking for their municipal government to publicly advocate to the province and federal government on the labor and immigration policies that impact Summerside employers. This is a tough one. I mean, there's case studies and proven metrics out there, what works, what doesn't work, but it kind of seems like immigration policy, and I know that's not something that's decided at a municipal level, but it changes pretty frequently, and we have employers going from having an influx of a lot of employees to none at all, and it makes it hard for them to do business. So that's one thing that the members did ask that I bring forward is help from the city advocating on those fronts. Support inclusive immigration pathways for retail, hospitality, and service-based businesses. Again, I'm not sure what exactly we can do to promote that and help out there, but I think that there's opportunity for further collaboration. Work alongside the Chamber, when applicable, to present a unified, loud voice on workforce sustainability as well as other topics. So again, they asked, one of the things I come up here, and I asked for help, making my voice louder, or help me to help you make your voice louder, bringing it to other areas, would it be it provincial or wherever it is, to try to address some of these issues. Review and reduce municipal regulatory burden. Some businesses report they are struggling under cumulative cost pressure. The city can help by reviewing fees, permits, and bylaws through a small business lens, improving clarity, predictability, and timelines for approvals and inspections, engaging the Chamber as a formal consultant partner when regulatory changes are proposed. The Chamber could do things like membership surveys or outreach to the local business community on these topics. We could act as a third party or a different kind of voice and try to reach out and see what exactly can be done to help out here and what their major hurdles are that they're running into. Partner on local economic visibility. The Chamber urges the city to collaborate on local buy and try something new campaigns in the Summerside area. Downtown and neighborhood placemaking initiatives that increase foot traffic. the craft trail that's put on every year by Downtown Explore Summerside, I think it's fantastic. The only downside to it that I see is that it only happened once last year. I mean, I think that's something that could happen multiple times in the year, drive a lot of traffic through downtown, through Water Street, and maybe get some of the businesses there involved. You know, we look at Summerside or Charlottetown's farmers market. They have a huge farmers market campaign down there that runs all year long. I think that Summerside has the potential to do something similar and attract outside engagement for sure. Inclusive engagement with the business community to ensure all businesses can participate, schedule consultations, roundtables, and information sessions outside of traditional business hours. Again, this is another chamber asset here. And provide advance notice on multiple engagement opportunities. Yeah, we're working on that. In the conclusion, while these results underscore the resilience of the Summerside business sector, they also send a clear, unified message to all levels of government. Business owners are facing mounting regulatory, labor, and economic pressures, and they expect stronger, more visible advocacy, particularly from the Chamber and at the municipal level. In 2026, the 2026 membership survey confirms that Summerside business community is strong, invested, and deeply committed to the city. However, it's also clear that without any decisive advocacy, partnerships from local, municipal, and government, many businesses could face increasing strains. The Summerside Chamber of Commerce looks forward to working collaboratively with the City of Summerside to champion local employers, reverse barriers on doing business, specifically with new business and startups, strengthen workforce sustainability, attraction campaigns, new business funds. I think Incubator would be a great project to launch in downtown Summerside. I know I've talked to Alex about this and the downtown crew as well. And encourage local economic participation, leveraging social media and stuff like that to maybe promote some of the businesses here. Together, we can not only ensure that Summerside remains a thriving place to do business, but also reinforce the existing framework in place to support current and future businesses in the SME space. That's the end of my report there, and I'd be willing to take any questions that any councillors might have.
Open the floor to council for questions. Councillor McDougall.
Thank Mitch for that presentation. It's great. I just wanted to touch base on the immigration part. Municipalities throughout Atlantic Canada through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, there's an Atlantic Caucus. The Atlantic Caucus has sent a resolution to the national level that basically the immigration, one size does not fit all. We need a different model here in Atlantic Canada.
Absolutely.
And so that's what the National FCM is lobbying the federal government for right now. So
fantastic.
Just wanted to let you know that.
Awesome, thank you.
Good.
Oh, sorry. Any further questions there from members of council? Yeah, pretty straightforward. I'll just give a couple quick comments there, Mitch. One, on behalf of all of us, thank you for taking the time for conducting the surveys and then sharing them with us. It is really important for us to understand and listen closely to you and what your members are going through and their perspectives. I think for all of us, I'm going to be a little tilted because I've been a small business owner in our city, and I've been a member of the chamber and on the board for many years in the past. I think it's always really, really important to listen closely and understand what our business community is saying, and particularly our local Chamber of Commerce here that really represents the small and medium enterprises, the businesses that make up our city, that employ so many individuals, that put food in the fridge and roofs over people's heads. Without a vibrant, functioning economy, without good jobs that people can care about, that pay them well, we simply as a community don't succeed. And we as a government, as all governments, don't generate any tax revenue. That's where wealth comes from. It comes from the creation of new things and the continuation of the success that your members are having. So thank you for that. Just as I go forward, I know we spent a couple hours there the other day, but for me, it would be really helpful as you continue to engage with your members to bring forward specifics that we can act on. We do really well as a council here with specific requests, easier than general ones. Right, so if there are specific ways we can support your advocacy efforts with respect to making the case for immigration, maybe above and beyond what we've been doing, I'm sure we're there. If there are specific things that we can do better to make sure that we reduce regulatory red tape and hurdles for people to get new businesses started in our community, we want to know about it, right? Those are the types of things that we really, at least I think I can speak for all of this council, really wants to dig into and find, because we recognize that your success is the same as ours, and I think we want the same thing. So I just ask you maybe to follow up as well on those specifics with us, and maybe you can do it through me, or you can do it through Deputy Mayor Snow or Chair of Economic Development, and I'm really hopeful that we can continue the momentum that we've seen here in the past couple of years, but really start to unlock some of the additional possibility and potential in this community.
100%. I mean, I moved up to Summerside 4 years ago from Charlottetown. I would never dream of moving back to Charlottetown at this point. I see so much potential in Summerside here. It's a city of opportunity, 100%. I want to see it grow, but I think I need to focus right now on getting runners on bases, not so much grand slams. Let's get them lined up. Let's get everything set up, and then you bring in the big hit, right?
Absolutely, we'll play some small ball.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mitch, and thank you to all the members, and I look forward to continuing the conversations with you and the organization. Thank you. As I said at the outset, Council, we have the National Poetry Month reading, not here yet, okay, 6:15, so we're moving along. And just for members of the gallery too, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting. You can get up and go whenever you want. We'll move on to appointment to committees. 5A, we've got Resolution COS 26-015, public appointment regarding our Twinning Cities Committee. And I think Councillor McColman, you're reading that in as Chair of Human Resources and Governance.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm bringing the resolution COS 26-015 on behalf of Councillor Nick Cameron. It was moved by myself, Councillor Norma McColman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Corey Snow. Whereas the Twinning Cities Committee serves in an advisory and collaborative capacity, supporting the City of Summerside in fostering and strengthening its twinning agreement with the City of Kremenets, and I'll need your help, Your Worship, Ukraine, and working cooperatively on initiatives of mutual interest and benefit. And whereas the committee accepted applications for community member positions, be it resolved that Sasha Nandlal, I hope I pronounced that properly, and Bodan Panasenko be appointed to the Twinning Cities Committee.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. Resolution COS 26-015, moved by Councillor McColman, seconded by Deputy Snow, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you for making those appointments. As members of the public here may or may not know, council amended its public appointments policy approximately 3 years ago, so now all of our public appointments process, they work through a certain policy and they come to council for approval. Looking forward to continuing with that initiative. We'll now move on to item 6A, introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. We have 4 here, and resolution COS 26-016, appointment of Chief Electoral Officer. I think it's Deputy Snow is taking that. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolution 26-016, moved by myself, Deputy Mayor Corey Snow, and seconded by Councillor Bruce McDougall. Whereas municipal elections will take place this fall and Election Day voting day is set for November 2nd, 2026, and whereas the Municipal Government Act 2018 states in Part 3, Section 40, Article 1, that council shall, by resolution on or before the second Monday in May, appoint a municipal elections officer and a deputy to be responsible for the administration of the election. And whereas the past several elections have been administered for the City of Summerside by staff at Elections PEI, and whereas an elections reserve has been set aside for past elections and for the upcoming election with the intention of covering the cost of Elections PEI to administer elections, and whereas Elections PEI has successfully run past elections and have the staff and expertise to run upcoming election in a professional, efficient, and competent manner. Therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Summerside appoint Elections PEI Representative Tim Garrity to act in the capacity of Municipal Electoral Officer, MEO, and Elections PEI Representative Stephanie Thorpe to act as Deputy Electoral Officer for the upcoming municipal election in the fall of 2026.
Thank you, Deputy Snow. Resolution COS 26-016, moved by Councillor Snow, seconded by Councillor McDougall, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, council. I'll now move on to item B. I think this is Councillor McCollum. Councillor?
I was looking for 016. I didn't realize that you had it. I thought I lost it. Okay, thank you. Resolution COS 26-017, moved by myself, Councillor Norma McCollum, seconded by Councillor Corey Snow. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act election regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council in December 2025 require municipalities to update their election bylaws for compliance, and whereas the City of Summerside's elections bylaw CS-1 requires amendment to comply, and whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace elections bylaw CS-1 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates required amendments. And whereas the elections bylaw CS 26-01 was read and formally approved as read at first time at council meeting held on April 7th, 2026. Be it resolved that the elections bylaw CS 26-01 be hereby read a second time. And there is a Schedule A attached, and for members that are in the gallery that would like a print copy, there's some that you can take with you on the table, presentation table, if you want a copy. That's it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. That was seconded by Corey, is that right? Yeah. Resolution COS 26, it's hard to say, COS 26. I better get used to it. We're a few months in. 017, moved by Councillor McCollum, seconded by Councillor Snow, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, council. I'll hand it back to you, Councillor McCollum.
I'm bringing forward Resolution COS 26018. It was moved by myself, Councillor Norma McCollum, seconded by Councillor Corey Snow. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act election regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council in December of 2025 require municipalities to update their election bylaws for compliance. And whereas the City of Summerside's elections bylaw CS-1 requires amendment to comply, and whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace elections bylaw CS-1 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates required amendments, and whereas the elections bylaw CS 26-01 was read and formally approved as read a first time at the council meeting held on April 7th, 2026. And whereas the elections bylaw CS 26-01 was read a second time at this council meeting, be it resolved that the elections bylaw CS 26-01 be hereby approved as read a second time.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. Also seconded by Deputy Snow. All three. Resolution COS 26-018, moved by Councillor McCollum, seconded by Councillor Snow, is on the floor. All in favor? I'll ask, sorry. Is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, or statements from members of council? Now I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, council. Last one, Councillor McCollum.
Resolution COS 26-019, moved by myself, Councillor Norma McColman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Corey Snow. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act election regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council in December of 2025 require municipalities to update their election bylaws for compliance. And whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace Elections Bylaw CS-1 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates required amendments, the Elections Bylaw CS-26-01, and whereas the Elections Bylaw CS-26-01 was read and formally approved at 2 separate meetings of Council held on different days, be it resolved that the Elections Bylaw CS-26-01 be hereby formally adopted.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. Resolution COS 26-019, moved by Councillor McColman, seconded by Councillor Snow, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Please indicate by, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, council. For folks who are joining us in the gallery, just a little heads up, those resolutions were adopted. The process, though, we don't just bring things to council and then vote on them and no one says anything. The process of undertaking the policy development happens at the committee level, then it comes to council to our committee of the whole meeting. Council has a discussion. It often goes back to the committee. Then it comes back to the committee of the whole. So by the time you're at tonight, usually most of the details are worked out. And if they aren't, then that's when the fun and fireworks happens here. But tonight, all relatively straightforward. So thank you, council. I just thought I'd point that out. With that, we'll move into, still checking the time, our department reports. I did note that I have a report on here. It seems to be a little intermittent. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. They snuck that one in on me and exposed the fact that I was on vacation for a period of time, so I'm a little thinner. I'll just touch base on a couple of things that wouldn't be covered necessarily in the department reports here. 3 or 4 in particular. One is approximately 2 weeks ago initiated and began essentially a stakeholder outreach. I'll call it a stakeholder tour. It doesn't have an official name. We have many stakeholders in our community who do all kinds of wonderful things in all kinds of different important places and spaces, whether it's a construction association or the Christian Council or chambers of commerce or age friendly. Those are the ones from the last couple of days. I said about a process of making sure to reach out and speak to each one of those organizations and attend their board meetings, and I have been accompanied at those meetings with various members of council. It has been so far incredibly productive and valuable. It is very important to get out and meet people where they are. And the one thing I would say that I have shared a couple of times is there are so many great people in our community doing good things for others, volunteering their time, trying to make their community a better place. And I think sometimes we're overly exposed to all the bad things that we see out there, and the reality is there's a lot of really positive stuff happening in our city. So as those continue to occur, we'll continue to reach out both through council and through staff and the public on ways that we can go about continuing to respond to the needs of our community. And I would thank members of council so far, and then those coming up for your time as well on those. It has been really valuable. 2 other quick things to touch on. City Council here at Summerside effectively wears a secondary hat. Not only is this group responsible for their duties set out in the Municipal Government Act as a municipal council, the City of Summerside also owns its own electric utility. And that requires additional governance work and responsibilities. It is a big deal with an increasingly complex system and organization. This council now has had a couple of governance-focused meetings, and it has been particularly valuable for this group, hopefully. And just sharing that with members of the public. I don't really need to share that with council because you were all there. Last, just two quick notes of things coming up. This is after now year 4, learn the ebbs and flows of our schedules and what is happening. April and May are the busiest times, really, for all of us here. There are a couple of things happening in the next few days. We have our annual State of the City. It'll be our 3rd State of the City address. Is happening this Thursday at doors open at 11:30 a.m. and that's at the Credit Union Place, so open to anyone who is interested in coming. And then the next is our Community Awards Night. And Sandra, what night is that? That's Monday, so that's soon too. Monday the 27th, our Community Awards celebration, where individuals and organizations in our community are recognized for their outstanding achievements and contributions, and it is also a really warm and welcoming night. So I will, with that, move on to 7B, which is our representative for finance, Councillor McDougall. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a report here by Director Kristen McDonald. And our 26-27 capital and operating budgets were approved on March 26th and have been submitted to the Government of PEI as required in the Municipal Government Act. We're preparing for our annual year-end audit and expect 2025-26 financial statements will be presented to Council in late August, early September. Based on transactions recorded to date, we are forecasting a small surplus for 25-26. Except for a deficit in Sunbank operation, we still have invoices being submitted for goods and services received prior to March 31st, but do not expect the results to change significantly. Applications are being received for the Vulnerable Population Grant Program and can be submitted by email to kristen@summerside.ca. Up to $2,500 can be awarded per initiative. And just a reminder that the disconnections for non-payment have resumed after a pause for the winter months. Once payment has been made, reconnection will occur the next business day. Customers receiving collection notices are strongly encouraged to contact financial services to bring their accounts into good standing in order to avoid disconnection of services. Thank you, Your Worship. That's all I have. If there's any questions?
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Now call on Community Services and Tourism Representative, Councillor Trenholm. Councillor?
Thank you. All right, so in terms of community services, Summerside Dome, we've got 3 points here. Tryouts. When I first read that, I thought it was trout season. That's not trout season, I don't think yet, right? Sorry. Tryout season for many baseball groups have begun. I could be. I don't. It's always trout season, maybe. I don't know. So anyway, tryout season for many basketball groups, not to be confused with trouts. Lots of birthdays and user group bookings, and multi-sport court has seen an increase in the numbers, and we're extremely happy with the attendance at basketball and badminton nights. Active Living Summerside, 5 points we'd like to address here. March break lineup was extremely well attended and successful. Received a lot of positive feedback, including attendees from out of town as well. Collaborated with Holman's Ice Cream and the Bomb Bakery on the Easter egg hunt event, and was also very successful, and we hope to collaborate again in the future. Point 3, preparing to launch a variety of spring programs, including Earth Day. Another preparation for our upcoming shipwright run is ongoing. And the last point here, summer fun schedule has been developed, and we're looking towards an operational plan for the canteen. So for our Island Petroleum Energy Center and Turk Glant Arena, we hosted the last regular season home game of the Caps, followed by the first round of the playoffs, and following the first round win, second round tickets went on sale. We know the outcome of that round, I believe. We hosted also the tournaments for the provincial rec and the female hockey provincials as well. Confederation Briggs Confederation Bridge Aquatics Center at Credit Union Place. Private and group lessons are planned to launch in early April and start in May. Front desk and bowling lanes. Front desk was very busy with Caps games, Centennial Cup tickets, and various inquiries on upcoming programs and events. So the meetings, conferences, and conventions, 37 convention center rentals in the month, including a few key conferences such as PEI Soil and Crop Cereals Conference over 2 days, and the annual Agricultural in the Classroom event, as well as the Department of Education and Early Years 3-day conference. Another 14 bookings were held at the Oval. Ocean 100th box office at the Credit Union Place. The Centennial Cup packages continue to sell. Individual games have also gone on sale. And the Canada Cup and Ray Carter Cup full package events have gone on sale as well. Green spaces, it's very busy. The season starts back in a month and going to hit the ground running. There are several parks and playground projects coming up, and it's shaping to be a particularly busy season. Lots of updates to come. We're all excited about that. And sets, the committee meetings continued for major sporting events, and staff worked with tourism PEI and potential funding and planning for the 2027-2030 bid calendar. And the 2026 Canada Day lineup is, well, being announced soon. Not only soon, but today. It's pretty exciting. So Alan Doyle and Matt Mays. And Summerside Marina and Curling Complex. The Summerside Curling Complex hosted the Rotary Mardi Gras event, and Junior Doubles Bonspiel, as well as have hosted Tosh for some weekly curling activities. That's a very informative monthly report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trenholm. Any follow-up questions for Councillor Trenholm? With that, we'll move on to 7C, and I will welcome Councillor McColman, Representative for Governance, HR and Legal Services, and Chair of our Bylaws Committee. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Councillor colleagues, business and organizational community, as well as all residents that are viewing. And I'd like to thank Director Kendra Gunn for drafting this public report of information for tonight's public listening and viewing. Selection for the police sponsorship program is underway. Current employment postings include a junior sailing instructor, police dispatcher, marketing and communications coordinator, culture Summerside assistant, seasonal laborers, swim instructors, and lifeguards. Summer student funding applications have been submitted through Jobs for Youth and post-secondary summer students. Seasonal laborers have been hired for parks and green spaces, and summer students have been hired with the Technical Services Department, and interviews are underway for Culture Summerside students. So if anybody is listening and has an interest in those various areas, they can certainly check with the city. Welcome to Steve Fraser, who was the successful applicant for the ice maker position. Staff attended monthly joint occupational safety and health committee meetings. Staff attended a virtual professional development training. As well, they received training which was held for professionalism and respect in the workplace. With the end of the fiscal year, staff are working on preparing year-end reports for the financial department. April 1st saw an increase of minimum wage for part-time employees, as well as an annual cost of living and union contract increases. The department liaised with the city's medical health plan provider on a number of staff inquiries. Staff also liaised with the city's pension plan custodian to address inquiries from various staff and pensioners. Department staff continue to support all city departments with staffing, labor relations, human resources and legal issues, policy drafting and bylaw interpretation, and worked with the external legal counsel on a variety of legal matters, including drafting and reviewing contracts and leases, and supporting civil claims and IRAC appeals. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. We'll just keep ticking along and get through the department reports, because then we'll wrap up with our wonderful Poetry Month reading. I would now call on Representative Councillor Morrison, also Chair of our Electric Utility Governance Committee, and Representative for Municipal Services. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities highlights. The winter season is now largely over, and attention now turns to roadway debris cleanup and right-of-way repairs from the snow removal effort damages. This winter season has seen the plows out 30 times on the streets, 42 times on sidewalks, 88 times for roadway salting, and 72 sidewalk salting events. Roadway right-of-way repairs have begun, and the public is reminded that right-of-way repairs for topsoil and seed will take until the end of the month of May to complete. The wastewater treatment annual report for operations for 2025 year have been finalized and is now on the website for the public to view. It details all the testing and effluent results that the sewage system performed to protect the environment. Electric utility highlights. The peak period of electricity demand has come to an end for the winter of 2026. The utility would like to thank all those customers that participated in reducing their demand to the electrical system. The utility is now working on a new circuit for the areas of Center Ward West, which includes Granville to Duke Street between Notre Dame and Pope Road. This will enable more growth and electrification for this area of the city. And there's also a pole replacement program for the utility, which will be starting in full force as aging assets are replaced due to the condition of the poles. The plan is to replace upwards of 100 poles this year. And I'd like to thank Director Greg Goody for that report.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Deputy Senator, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick comment, maybe through Councillor Morrison in regards to, he just mentioned pole replacement. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I brought forward questions for Director Greg Goody in regards to the pole replacements and then the existing poles remaining for what appears to be an extremely long time. I continue to monitor as I tour around the city, and I, to be quite frank, I don't see much change. The explanation at the time was legit. It's not so much a city issue in our infrastructure. It is the existing infrastructure of, say, Bell, Eastlink, other companies that are just not doing their part. It continues to be extremely frustrating because I personally believe it creates somewhat of an eyesore, old poles, multiple poles in people's yards. It's unfortunate that we continue to do this. At that point, Director Goody had mentioned that after a certain length of time, some sort of fine or cost was put back on the utility users, so Bell, Eastlink, whoever lines there were, if they weren't changed over to our poles within a certain amount of time, that those would be levied. Just through yourself and through CIO, I wouldn't mind having an update on where that is and if that is actually occurring, because if it is, it doesn't seem to be happening, or we're not charging them enough to get them moving, and my hope is that we would find a way to get those old poles down and the infrastructure back to where it should be, because it's nice when we put up new poles, but having 2 or 3 poles in a yard is a bit ridiculous.
Absolutely, and I agree with everything you're saying, and I remember the conversation well, and I remember the answers that night, but perhaps I'll have a little conversation with our director, Mr. Goody, and see if I can find out if we can move things along a little quicker.
Thank you, councillors. And then perhaps at the next council meeting, that can be included in the report or update. Great. We'll move on to item 7F. Representative Councillor Cameron, who's not with us, but he's with us, joining us electronically, but I think he has Councillor Trenholm reading in his report for arts, culture, and diversity. Councillor Trenholm.
Sounds good. options and activities from previous years. We are preparing to accept parade entries, volunteers, and sponsors. More information on Raceway Days, part of the Summerside Lobster Carnival, can be found at summersidelobstercarnival.com. Should be really exciting. Can't wait for it. Programming staff are preparing event details on the Old Fashioned Carnival. The weekly concerts in the Garden Series, Summerside Pride Week, walk, and community barbecue activities, and diverse city. No shortage, as you can see. Culture Summerside will also partner again with the Latino Association of PEI to host their second Latino Festival celebration in Summerside in July. In addition, Wyatt Central Properties, Inc. and Culture Summerside are preparing for their 2026 Summerside Arts Festival. I would definitely say it's a must-see if you haven't already. It's an event that you'll present exhibits, workshops, hundreds of artists, demonstrations, live events, art battles, bucket drumming, marker sessions, art classes, and special children's programming, along with other activities. Partnerships and details are in development. More detail will be released in the coming weeks. Our archival team and volunteers are implementing improvements to our genealogy website, peiancestry.com. Improvement will include attention to the site's landing page, site content, and better research services to subscribers. Last point here, staff are also preparing for another busy season of tours of museums, cultural and interpretive centers. Each summer, we employ approximately 7 students for museum tour guiding, programming, archival, and festival and events work. Wage grants have been secured, and preparation for interviews, as we just heard, is underway. And thank you for this report.
Thank you, Councillor Trenholm. Any questions for Councillor Trenholm? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item 7G, Representative Councillor Duran, Chair of Planning Board, Chair of Planning Committee, Technical Services Representative, and all-around good human being. Councillor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. The other 4 didn't get an intro like that, but preparations for the 2026 construction season continue. Staff are preparing tenders for items in the 2026 capital budget. Staff have started designing a number of projects and tenders for some of these projects that will close in April. And this work will continue over the next couple of months until all projects have been tendered. The first few tenders will close in April to be ready for May construction starts. 15 building permits with a value of just over $5.98 million were issued for the month of March for a year-to-date total of 33 permits and a value of $13.6 million. We issued 2 commercial permits for alterations, 2 institutional permits for alterations. We issued 2 permits for semi-detached houses, 1 for a secondary suite, 1 for an accessory building, 4 demolition permits, and 1 permit for a 25-unit apartment building. Staff are also in the process of compiling and reviewing the required information for completion and occupancy of some larger projects. Developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for this year. And now is a great time for anyone else to ask for assistance with their projects that they might have planned for 2026. And thank you to Director of Technical Services, Aaron McDonald, for preparing the report this month.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we will move on to Deputy Mayor Snow, Representative for Economic Development and Growth.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you to Director Mike Thuska for compiling the report. Over the past month, several business development and partnership initiatives have continued to advance. We are currently supporting expansion discussions with bioscience company that is exploring opportunities for growth in Summerside. In addition, we are working with 2 local businesses considering significant expansion projects, as well as 2 aerospace companies reviewing potential growth opportunities in the community. We are also continuing to advance discussions with UPEI on several energy-related opportunities, building on Summerside's strength in utility innovation and Summerside Exchange platform. They also attended a regional labor force session in Charlottetown, where economic economist David Campbell presented findings from the Help Wanted Solving Atlantic Canada's Growing Labour Force Challenge report, prepared by Public Policy Forum and the PEI Business Economic Council. Key findings from the report highlighted several important trends relevant to Summerside and the region. Atlantic Canada will need to fill approximately 441,000 jobs by 2035, with the majority of these driven by retirements. And only 172,000 workers are expected to come from within the region, leaving a projected shortfall of roughly 269,000 workers. Since 2016, immigration has accounted for essentially all net workforce growth, though recent federal reductions are beginning to reverse the trend in smaller communities such as Summerside. Rural regions face particular pressure, with over 30% of the workforce now over the age of 55. More than 40,000 self-employed business owners are expected to retire by 2035, creating additional risk around business succession. International students remain a key workforce pipeline, though enrollment has recently begun to decline. Overall, the session reinforced the importance of aligning population attraction, workforce development, immigration pathways, and economic development strategy to support continued growth and maintain community services across Atlantic Canada and here in Summerside. This includes the monthly report for the Economic Development Office.
Thank you, Deputy Snow. Any further comments, questions from members of council? I will note one, Councillor Snow, as I mentioned to you the other day in that meeting, I ran those numbers from David Campbell. I'm a big fan of David Campbell. I think he's an excellent economist. On our Summerside data, and what it means for Summerside is approximately 20% of our workforce will be retiring in the next 10 years. So that's 1 in 5 people who work in the city, highlighting the importance of the issue here at home, as well as in the Maritime region. With that, we'll move on to Emergency Services and Communications Representative Councillor Adams. Councillor Adams is away. Did Councillor Adams? Councillor Snow is going to read in Councillor Adams' report.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
First off, Summerside Police Services. March was a busy month with calls for service. Our 2 cadets currently in training at the Atlantic Police Academy continue to do well and will be joining us in June for OJT portion of their training. Staff were busy with various meetings during March, including meetings with Low Barrier Shelter, Oversight Committee, and continued work with the next Gen 911 upgrades that are currently in progress and will continue into 2027. Work also continues on the ongoing updating and modernization of the police services standard operating procedures in conjunction with the new PEI provincial policy standards. Additionally, 4 members received training on the Canadian Criminal Intelligence System, CCIS. That report was, or update was from Chief Jason Black here. In regards to fire services, March 2026 fire report, a summary of calls. During the month, firefighters responded to 31 calls. The breakdown is as follows: 1 medical first responder, 29 silent alarms, and 1 general alarm. Training, firefighters took part in 273 hours of training in February, including lunar thermal imagery presentation, critical incident stress management training, ICS 100 course, and emergency first aid course. Members participated in several firefighting and community events during the month, including, it says including, and then that doesn't include anything, so including some including some community events there, but it doesn't say what it is. Congratulations to our firefighters on a job well done during a recent general alarm at an 18-unit building on Water Street. Our ladder truck was put to excellent use, evacuating several residents from the 3rd floor while crews escorted others from the burning structure. Firefighters also assisted with transporting residents to a warm area at the fire hall and worked with Canadian Red Cross to ensure everyone was safely placed in temporary accommodations. Great job, everyone. And lastly, under the Communications Department, overall, March was a high volume month for the comms branch of the Department of Communications and Events, with numerous campaigns, public updates, and event promotion delivered across all municipal brands. The team maintained a strong communication presence while supporting major initiatives, time-sensitive notices, and community engagements. City of Summerside recap, supported major events including Music PEI, Baseball Canada Cup, Ray Carter Cup through social media campaigns, content production, ticket launches, and marketing assets. Delivered a communications campaign for 2026-27 budget, including 9 social posts and recap video. Highlighted community stories and supported regional partnership, shared internal updates, including recruitment and management promotion. Credit Union Place recap, delivered consistent promotional programs, events, and operation. Executed a major Centennial Cup campaign, including ticket launches, promotions, and volunteer recruitment with ongoing planning alongside Hockey Canada. Promotion for the Noah Dobson Hockey Fest, and maintained regular promotions for programming, including Fit Stop, capital games, and facility updates. With Summerside Police Services, they delivered ongoing public safety communications, including advisories and media releases, coordinated timely information sharing with media, council, and staff, and supported community engagement through public education and local initiatives. And with the Summerside Fire Department, communicated fire services responses, including 4 calls with coordinated notification, supported outreach and promotion of department initiatives. In summary, the team managed a significant workload balancing daily communications with large-scale campaigns. Efforts resulted in strong visibility, community engagement, and effective public information delivery for the City of Summerside. Thank you to Director Tanner Drawn for that report. That includes all the reports for Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Deputy Snow, and all members of council. Councillor McDougall, question?
Yeah, thank you. I just have one question here. It's under the fire calls and alarm panel. I raised this before. The last December was 10, and January was 15, February was 10, and March was 22. I'm wondering how many of these are returned on a monthly basis, alarm systems. I'll pass that over to our CAO if he could look at that. So, yeah.
I remember when they mentioned it last year, Bruce, it was a lot of them were reoccurring ones from similar, same companies, same businesses. I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, for sure.
Great, thank you, Council. So now we will jump back to item 4A, which is our National Poetry Month reading by Julie Bull. We have Sarah Barrett here to provide the introduction. Before you two arrived, I had said all these things about why I love this initiative and National Poetry Month and a bit of the history of it, so I'm not going to repeat it. If you want to check it out, you can watch the loop on YouTube. But I will hand it over to you now, Sarah. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
2 options. You can wait for Sandra, or there's a little mouth with, looks
Oh,
like
I see. We're on here. Yeah.
icons, speaking icons.
Well, first of all, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here. I'm very pleased that we're able to recognize National Poetry Month, which is celebrated each April across Canada. And here in Summerside, it's become a pretty meaningful tradition for the city to mark this occasion by inviting a poet to share a work inspired by the annual theme during our April council meeting. So this year's theme is Land and Sea, and is presented in collaboration with the League of Canadian Poets and Native Women in the Arts. And it invites us to reflect on our relationship with water, land, and the life that sustains us, encouraging us to listen, to honor, and to connect more deeply with the world around us. So to help us mark this occasion, we're very fortunate to welcome Julie Bull. Julie Bull is appropriately and affectionately called a poetry pusher because of how they cultivate spaces and opportunities for others to write, share, and experience poetry. They are an award-winning poet and spoken word artist who has published 4 solo collections and 3 community anthologies since 2021. They are currently working on a 4th community anthology with the PEI Transgender Network, and they are the co-founder of the Queer Poetry Club in Charlottetown. So please join me in welcoming Julie Bull.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you to all of you. It's so wonderful to get to push poems on people that don't come to my workshops. This is my first time being in Summerside City Hall, and it's lovely. It's also not just Poetry Month, it's also Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So the piece that I'm going to share today was composed 6 years ago in March of 2020, when we were all just about to hit a pandemic. I was in the mountains of Banff at a writing residency, and this poem came through me about how we treat ourselves, how we treat people, and how we treat the land. And so it's from my third book called Transforming, and the piece is called Land Back. Rebirth in constant spirals as nature goes where the water flows. With my tears in a bottle, a message to share now lost at sea. Someone might see. At least it's out of me. Land back, land back, land back. The colonizer's words cut like 1,000 daggers deeper into the soul of Mother Earth. Built on the backs and the burdens of that death tax, the hurdles bending straight lines into circles. She is the river that runs through my veins. Eliteness, not eligible for your privileges. The conjecture, that large error at my heart center, centering me. You're stealing magnolias, putting weight on my shoulders, imposing quotas. Ha, but those boulders turn to roses. Land back, land back, land back. The tree firmly planted, deeply rooted, executed by greed, the seed of life picked up and carried. It married itself as the branches grew on my family tree. I saw it clearly in the feather-shaped stains from my sweat and tears. The branch fell into 1,000 paper cranes, falling, drifting, origami in the form of me. The river runs through my veins. It's never the same twice. My spirit is the wind. Land back, land back, land back. Permafrost, permanently lost, manifest destiny, destined to become our best self, our strongest self, to be an able human. The trees above consuming, looming over me. The earth birthing herself for me, as me. Ecological grief, they say, just don't eat the meat. Drunk on the money you make robbing me of my innocence. Land back, land back, land back. Seeing myself now with all 4 sets of eyes, I try, I try, I cry. My expansion distracting myself from the bruised words written all over my body. My soul rewriting its ancient story. As long as the buffalo roam, we are home. Culture is the constant, constantly wrapping me in its loving embrace. Hungry, hurting, I'm birthing myself into being. Seeing with eyes wide open, I am open to receive that honey running down my thighs, my eyes wide shut. We can't eat the money. Shut up. Pouring out of my pores. And then I heard the mountains say, I planted the sunset in your soul, so the light will shine when you rise. Nakamik, thank you.
Thank you. That was heavy. I was still trying to digest it. Yeah, to open the floor to anyone from Canada, I think we will do a. I'm glad that went at the end of the meeting, although, and I would ask if it's possible to share that work, at least the your collection transforming with Sarah, and we could share it with those of us in council who are interested. So thank you for your work and your art and your power with words and connecting meaning. All right, that's the end of that part. And the end of our open council meeting here for this evening. So at this point, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and then council will reconvene for a few in-camera items. Thank you, everybody.